back to another week of the Preem STEAM Lab. We are so excited that you came back to join us for another Make It Monday. I have with me Xander and Addison again this week, and today we are going to be giving you your next Make It Monday challenge. However, today, before we start, I want to go back and talk about last week's Make It Monday. Remember last week we made a at-home, do-it-yourself little greenhouse in a baggie. And I'll be honest, I hope that your seeds worked a little bit better than ours. Remember, I only had a choice of one kind of seed, one kind of bean when I went to the store, and I think it was a little bit too big. We did get a couple of little sprouts, but we haven't had any actual plants grow yet. So we might give this one a try again. That's okay if we go back to the drawing board and start over. But if you remember, last week's challenge was to create a device that you would be able to take your greenhouse around the house to different windows and make sure that it got enough sunlight. Now, I will say that I saw some awesome creations in our grade level Google Docs. So if you haven't done that yet, go back, look at last week's section, find your grade, click on it, add a picture and a description into your grades at Google Docs so that we can all check it out. I did have Jesus sent me the most amazing at-home homemade greenhouse. His was not in a Ziploc baggie. Do you want to know what he did? He took a large dog crate, like one of those metal dog crates, and he wrapped it in some tarp that you might, like a paint drop cloth, the plastic kind, and he wrapped the door in it so that he could open the door, and then he put his plants inside of that. So he made like his own real life greenhouse. I thought it was amazing. It makes me sad that we got rid of our big dog crate a while ago. So otherwise I would give it a try myself.
Oh, wait, yeah.
So before we get into this week's Make It Monday, I want you to go ahead and, Xander, yours is up on the table. Why don't you go ahead and describe to us what you did for your carrying device?
Do you want this? I can explain it in a safe way or kind of a dangerous way.
Always safe.
Okay.
Always safe in the Preem STEAM Lab.
So I took one end of a scissor. Can I see this for a second?
Oh. Just get your
I took one end of a scissor. I safely poke it through, and then I started cutting a big box out. I took a piece from here. I cut a little handle out. As you can see, it kind of matches where it should have been cut out. And then I took double-sided tape and hot glue the handle on. And then I took double-sided tape and I stuck the tape on to the front of the box. And then I taped the bag on so I could just move it.
All right, excellent. And Addison, can you show us your creation as well, please?
So
A little bit. There we go. We can see your face.
So I took a old Amazon box and I cut out the flaps, and then I used one of the flaps and I cut it out for a handle. And you can see I have used this box for other thing.
So one of our R's in our reduce, reuse, recycle is to reuse. And so Addison actually used this box to do some creative play with her little brother earlier in the week. And then she realized it still had a lot of life left to it. So she then was also able to reuse it another time. And it doesn't matter that there's cutouts here. It actually might allow more sunlight to come in the sides. Excellent. So go ahead and put that on the floor and we will get talking about this week's Make It Monday. So this week's story that we read was The Little Red Fort. And if you haven't listened to the read aloud of this story yet, I suggest that you go back, find the video of me reading The Little Red Fort. This is a great one. Ruby and her brothers did finally successfully use their sea of collaboration to work together to make a great fort. And so this week, my challenge for you is to experiment with some fort building. So, and I didn't tell my kids this before we started. I wanted to see what they would come up with on the fly. So what are some things, Addison and Xander, that you think we could use to make a fort at home? Addison. We could use, so we've got some big
Boxes.
some like shipping, moving size boxes. So we could use some big boxes to make a fort. What else could you use to make a fort? Yeah.
Rope, tarp, pole.
A rope, a tarp, and a pole?
Yeah.
Is that everything? Okay, so if you have a rope, a tarp, and a pole, you might be able to use that.
Some
Now,
people camp
we
with
were
those.
having this discussion at our house the other day. We don't have the type of couch where the cushions come off of it. But at Grandma's house, what is your favorite way to make a fort at Grandma's house?
Cushion
Use
fort.
the cushions.
Use the cushions from the couch. So what I want to ask you to do first, because this is kind of an interesting time. Some of you might have moms and dads who are trying to work from home for many different reasons. Or you might have moms and dads who are still going to work for many different reasons. And so please, please, please do me a favor. And before you start your fort building, just like Ruby did in our story this week, I want you to create a plan. Because good engineers in the engineering design process start with a plan. I want you to take a piece of paper and I want you to draw out a plan first. And then I want you to consult. Do you know what that means, to consult? I want you to I want you to consult an adult at home. And I want you to say to them, hey, my Make It Monday challenge this week is to make a fort. And here's what I want to do. Now, Ruby made a big, giant, like permanent fort. And her fort was more like a playhouse. And it was made out of real wood and real nails. I'm not expecting you to make that kind of fort this week. I'm thinking about a fort that you might keep up for a couple of hours, that you might use to do your reading time today in. So you might make a fort, spend the morning making the fort, do your reading in it this afternoon, and then have a plan, have part of your plan be how long you're going to keep your fort up. Because I know that at our house, when we make forts, sometimes they take up a lot of space and then it's hard to move around. So we want to make sure that we know, and we've made a plan with an adult at home to say, I'm going to put up this fort. I'm going to build it from maybe like 9 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock in the morning. It'll take me about an hour. And then I'm going to read in it and I'm going to do my schoolwork in it all day. And then by 4 o'clock, I will have it all picked up and all the stuff put away. Because that is part of being a good citizen in your own house, is to have a plan for how long you're going to have it up and how long it's going to be in the way and how long you're going to clean it up. Maybe you can make a fort outside. Talk to somebody, talk to an adult. Before you start taking things from inside out, like maybe sheets and things like that, make sure that you have permission. We always want to make sure that we're being good citizens of our house. We're asking permission. We're not taking things outside, blankets and things that might get ruined if that's not okay with somebody. Maybe you live somewhere where you have lots of sticks and you could build an outside fort out of sticks. I've seen some awesome lean-to against the tree with big long stick forts before.
Kind of like rope, tarp, pole.
But let me tell you this. There's lots of different ways to make a fort. If you are thinking, man, I don't really want to make a big, huge fort for my in my house that my body can fit into. Do you think that, Addison, do you think you could maybe find a doll or a stuffed animal and you could make a fort just for, show me about how big, if you made, Addison has a doll whose name is Tenny. If you made a fort for Tenny, can you show me with your hands about how big that fort would have to be? So it wouldn't have to take up much, how wide might it be? It wouldn't take up that much space at all. You could build that fort out of things like, you could do plastic cups.
Pillowcase.
You could do a pillowcase. You could do much smaller things. So your fort doesn't have to take up your whole family room. It doesn't have to get in the way. It could be small. You could make a fort for a little Lego guy. Show me how big a fort would have to be for a little Lego guy. Not very, you could do that out of, what could you make that kind of fort out of?
Legos.
You could make it out of Legos. You could. You could probably make it out of toothpicks. You could make it out of something you found in the recycling bin, and then maybe a paper towel or a napkin. So your forts do not have to be giant, but if it's okay with somebody at home, and if you are feeling in the mood to make yourself a big giant fort, my challenge for you this week is to make some sort of fort like Ruby, but make sure you've got that design process in there. You're making a plan for it first before you just start building.
I've had times where I just start building something and I just mess up and well, I have an idea in my head, but I don't write it down. So, like, nobody knows what to get or anything.
So the supply list might be really
Yeah.
important. And I really do want you to run your plan by an adult this week. Because like I said, everybody's kind of getting a little stressed and getting a little antsy and ready to be outside. So if you can build your fort outside, even better. The weather's getting nice. So I can't wait. Make sure that you go back and you find your grade for this week under week 2. And you put your picture of your finished fort in there so that we can all take a look. I can't wait to see them. This is going to be great. Make sure you come back on Wednesday for Watch It Wednesday and you take a look and see what project we are going to be making this week. It kind of has something to do with forts, but we'll talk about why that might be when we get to Wednesday. Can't wait to see you on Watch It Wednesday. We will see you soon. Bye guys. Adios.